So, Adam, do you want to?
Sure. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September meeting of ANC, sorry, ANC3C's Transparency and Public Processes Committee. It is 11:34 p.m. my time. So we're gonna try to do this quickly so I can go to bed. But the only item on the agenda today is the discussion on the proposed FY26 ANC3C budget and other ANC3C budget priorities. So Commissioner Paget shared a link in the chat to the proposed budget. Um, do you want to talk about it? Or should I let Commissioner Kripke talk about it since he wrote it?
Probably Commissioner Kripke, but I can
Okay,
share the screen too. So the report
Okay,
perfect.
talking about.
right.
I will turn it over to you.
Uh, okay, I'll just walk you through it real quick. This is like a zero draft. It's like I didn't put a ton of thought into it or anything. It's just to get us something to work from. Um, so these are the categories that the OANC gives us to budget with. So just basically using what they give us to work from. What you see in the columns is column C is what was approved in our budget for FY25 this year. Um, and the overall budget was about 24, a little over $24,000. And we're meant to receive about 20 or 21,000 in income from the district as an allocation, as an allotment, as they say. Um, so the next column is what we spent so far this year, and we have about I guess a month left um, of the year. So there's a few things outstanding that we probably will spend money on this month, but this is pretty close to what we're going to spend this year, and then just a notional draft for next year, what to spend. So let me talk you through it a little bit. Um, so we're supposed to get 20,000. This year we only got 18,000 or 21,000 so far. I think we're going to get the final amount because we're working it out with OANC. They disallowed an expense, as you recall, but I'm working through that with them. So I think we'll get the full amount. The numbers look a little different because I moved out of our checking account $80,000 into our savings. So the numbers in the end look smaller, but that's just because we moved our money over. And then in terms of the spending, you'll see that we're going to be underspent from our projection. The main thing is that we said we were going to spend $12,000 in grants, and I think we're going to end up spending about $5,000 total. This $3,000 that's here is actually going to be in the other category. In the end, that'll be in a direct expenditure. So we're really only going to spend about $5,000 in grants this year compared to $12,000 is what we budgeted. In the other category, further down, we budgeted $12,000, and I think we'll end up spending um, uh, like $11,000. We might spend a little bit more in the next month, but this is pretty roughly it. So in the end, I did the math in my head. I think we're going to spend about $8,000 more before the end of the year, and so we're going to be about $8,000 underspent for the year. So that just goes back into our bank account and carries over to the next year, which is fine. Um, but we're sitting on about 130, I think over $130,000 in our accounts, which I just feel like uh, there's no reason an ANC should be sitting on money and that we should be making an effort to use that money in productive ways. So my proposal for next year, even though we failed, is to try to really lean into grants and direct expenditures and try to put more of our money into the community in productive ways. So you see line, I think it's 23 there, like I'm saying, doubling our grant budget, and line 27 is other, which we've been using to directly pay bills for different projects and stuff in the community, and I'm proposing doubling that. Realistically, I mean, we have trouble spending our money, so I'm not sure it's realistic to double it, but we could think about, you know, trying to operationalize putting more of our resources into the community in different ways. And then the only other things Adam had brought up, that we want to hold some money back to get the hybrid meeting equipment or whatever it is that OANC is offering. So I put a line in the direct office cost for $1,000 there. And we've talked about trying to improve communications and maybe use Canva, and I put $100 there. We could put more or less there. And let's see, is there anything else? I think that's really it. That's my presentation. So we're gonna underspend our budget this year by about a third, and I'm proposing that we try to spend more next year on grants and direct expenditures for next year. And with that, I will stop and just open it to whoever wants to comment.
I'll go first. I just have two stupid questions and then a comment. So first of all, thank you for your work on this because this is absolutely amazing. I do think that we need to somewhat push more grant expenditures. I know like it was a little more difficult this year, and like I know next year we'll hopefully have a Woodley Park Main Streets program again, so we can work with them on at least doing one grant for them as well. But so we have 100, you said 130,000, so this 49 is just what's in the checking account.
That's right.
Okay. I will get you a better number for the hybrid meeting kit because it's come down. I think OANC was able to negotiate like a bulk pricing deal. So I think it's gonna be more like 800 or maybe like 750.
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know if what I'm about to say is completely made up, but do we get penalized for leaving money over in categories? No. We only get penalized, not penalized, but we get yelled at if we exceed it.
Yes, it's more of a procedural hurdle to add money back in, which is why it's the goals of spending more in grants and direct expenditure
Yeah,
are laudable, and I think like we want to put that number higher than we think it should be, and then we can always add more money if we need to. But
yeah.
like, let's start with a high bar and
No, I think the high bar is
and
better.
then like, yeah, we don't get penalized though for underspending our budget. Um, and yeah, I mean we have a ton of money.
So then my last comment, and maybe we could just think on this, but I was thinking about maybe if we as ANC could get, I don't want to use the phrase business cards because I feel like that's so antiquated. But there's a lot of people that when like you meet them, they're like, "Oh, I really want to be involved with the ANC. Like, do you have something? Like maybe we could buy cards that like we could give that give people a QR code to our website or a QR code to our newsletter so they could register for it." Because I have met people that want to be more involved, and I feel like I tell them the website to go to or I text them the stuff and they like forget about it, but if they have it physically in front of them, they're more likely to go to our website and learn more about what we do or register for our newsletter. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I think this is a great document. I think we really should spend or at least try to push to spend more of our grant money and put that money back into the community because it is their money.
Can I all gonna
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that, yeah, I agree with the outreach thing. I think the communications budget, I think the Canvas subscription is actually like 165 or something a year. Um, and that's only like one seat, but I'll look further into that and get that actual number, and like maybe how many seats we should have is probably like we probably only need like two maximum or three. Um, or we can share the same seat.
Well, if you do the 3C account,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is we just buy one and we just have the login for the 3C account. Um, and then the other thing I think that like having like almost mini flyer like handhelds, is that what they're called? I'm looking
yeah,
at all my organizers in this group. um and like having
Those would be
those.
called palm cards.
Thank you, Bob. I knew
perfect. Something that you could like stick in a pocket, ideally.
correct. Yeah, I think that that would also go in communication. I don't know like what the difference between communication printing and office supplies equipment and printing. I think the printing and office supplies equipment and printing is like if you were printing an agenda to hand out at the meeting, that is
Right.
what that is. And communication, like of the palm thingy, would be a communication expense that's just being printed, right? Is that everybody else's
No,
like
I think you're right because communication would imply that it's going outside of it would either be to promote or to go outside of the actual meeting.
okay, cool.
That's how I would interpret it, at least. But
Okay. And then I also like find this document really helpful and thank you for putting it together. But I do have a question about the grants likely to spend $5,000 more in FY25. Is that the one we're voting to approve this month for
Yes,
Woodley House?
yes. So
Okay,
that's it. I mean,
gotcha.
yeah, exactly.
Cool, cool.
And
Yeah,
and
because that
then
was all in this fiscal year, right?
that'll be in this, yeah, that'll be in this fiscal year. We'll get that out quickly and it'll be this fiscal year. So, um, but the grant that's labeled there at $3,000 that's the Cleveland Park night um, money that
Uh,
will eventually end up somewhere else. It won't be a grant. So anyway, it might end up in other, or it might end up in somewhere else, but the money will be spent, but it will not be in this category.
Yeah, I thought we had it in other because it needed to be the direct expense because of the
Yes,
original direction OANC had given us years ago and then changed the
yes,
rules and then forgot to tell us that they changed the rules, which is like super helpful in trying to get this money out the door. I don't think it's a lack of effort on our part. I think that it's just been a lack of clarity of process on their part that is incredibly intimidating and challenging. And I know that all of us have like tried our best to like fight for these things, but it's just like,
yeah,
ugh. So hopefully we've worked out some of those kinks and like we can make these goals achievable next year.
yeah.
Yeah. And I also appreciate your work with Denise. I don't know how long you were on the phone today, but thank you.
We're slowly getting Denise on our side, so she's in this case she's trying to be helpful and figure out a way to make it work, I think. So, and I think
I'm so glad because she really hates me from the OANC advisory board. Before I go to Bob, sorry, Janelle, you're done?
I'm done for now.
Bob put his hand down. Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen. Um, the $40 in banking fees for next year, are we doing something?
I've gone it's just a $5 a month charge. I don't know why I actually don't know why it's there. It should be $5 a month, so should be $60. But they told me they were gonna waive the fee for us, but then they keep doing it. So I don't know if I need to just do that every month and tell them to waive it. But so far this year, I somehow I didn't it doesn't show up here, but we have spent like $40 this year in bank charges. And anyway, so I think it's not worth spending time on, but
Okay, no, I just didn't know if like we were doing something different, but that makes sense.
our
Um,
bank has been charging us $5 a month, and they told us they wouldn't, and I got the manager to nullify them for 1 or 2 months, but then they keep charging it. So I don't know what's going on.
Thanks. Bob, you had your hand up. Do you want to go? Did you put it down because I
Rick
called
has
on
his hand up. I was
Okay.
gonna wait until after Rick.
Okay, Rick, go ahead.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob, and thanks, Gowan, for all your work on this. And I apologize for being a few minutes late to the meeting. One observation or question I would raise, and I think I've said this in past year, is under proposed disbursements, there is nothing on personnel. And I know we've not had an admin now for several years, but I'm also really conscious of the fact that the burden of not having one falls, on the commission, but I would say very specifically on the three of you on this call right now. It falls on our chair, it falls on Adam, and it falls, to some extent on our treasurer maybe. And, wouldn't it be prudent to put something in the budget that at least gives you the option to reevaluate and consider having some more administrative support? I realize you could probably amend the budget in the mid-year, but it might be more prudent just to budget something, given that we have lots of headroom. And I do think we should continue to consider it because it may improve in efficiency, but it would lighten the burden on several of you. And I appreciate all the work you put in, but we should look for opportunities to lighten the load where we can.
Go ahead, Gina. And then go on.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's actually more work to supervise an admin and to do the paperwork and to basically admin the admin's payroll. It's not at all, in my experience, worth the effort. It actually took me more hours to do that than it did to just do what I needed to do, which I did at a higher quality. And more efficiently. I think that if we wanted or needed that kind of support, we could use the OANC, the Technical Assistance Fund, which I think Adam and the folks on the advisory board have been pushing OANC to have a pool of more trained individuals that the different ANCs could then use to do administrative tasks that have more knowledge that we are not personally training ourselves, because it takes a lot of time. I'm being dead serious. I was spending a ridiculous amount of time trying to get our admin to do things, and then Swale was spending an insane amount of time chasing down paperwork, because the other thing was she resided in the Commonwealth of Virginia, so we were paying taxes, employment taxes, to the Commonwealth of Virginia, right? The back end of it was a nightmare.
We were
So
also paying employment taxes to the District of Columbia that we didn't have to pay, if I remember correctly.
it's a mess. It was an absolute mess. So I don't know.
If I could say,
Go
I
ahead.
see some of the evidence of what a hassle it was to have an employee for the ANC, and I don't think it's worth. I think we should, as a as a matter of principle, not have any employees because it's just too much hassle. And I don't think it's worth the value. But I I think Rick is right that if there are ways that we can hire in some help, consultants or contracts with people that can provide services. I don't want to structure anything as an employment contract, but like a consultant fee or something we could do. Website maintenance, communications, writing. You could imagine all sorts of things that we could just hire a consultant to help us for a little while and do work. Even administrative stuff, I think you could just hire a consultant to do a little bit of. So, and the problem is actually I haven't spent a huge amount of time on this. It's also just finding people that deliver that at some quality. So I haven't spent a lot of time trying to find it, but I think it's harder to find than you might hope, and so you end up just doing it yourself because it's easier.
Yes.
But we have the money. So the money isn't the issue. It's the administrative burden and finding quality services, I think that it is. But I think Rick is right that we should have that in mind. And if we can find services and stuff that we can use, we should try to do that.
Well, you all raise good points, and I certainly appreciate them. And you don't have to decide this tonight, obviously, but just consider whether, given that you have the room, whether you provide, by putting some money into the budget, optionality to consider a consultant or some other kind of arrangement if the commission decides that that makes sense during the budget year.
Janelle, before you go, I just want to say, uh, we on the advisory board have been pushing rather successfully for OANC to take on a lot more of the administrative burden because we're all volunteers, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, this is not our full-time job, although I think I might spend more time on this than my full-time job. But
It's being recorded, I think, so.
Good point,
they don't
Rick.
care. Um, But like things like website maintenance, like OANC is allegedly planning to roll out DC.gov websites for us that we would, in theory, if their plan works out, which again, allegedly. But I would like to give them a dry run at it before I cut the grass out from under them. Is that we would just in theory be able to email someone at Octo and say, I don't like this on our website. Can you make this better? And they would do it for us. Obviously, I don't know how high on the totem pole of a priority the ANCs would be, but the idea was also to just get ANCs on .gov domain names. But we've been pushing them too on having a list of people or even being allowed to coordinate an admin between all of the ANCs, let's say in Ward 3 or all of the ANCs on the Connecticut Avenue corridor or however they would want to split it out. But I think if we wanted to add some money to like purchase, I guess that would be a purchase of a service as opposed to a personnel addition. But if we would want to add some money there, I mean, about like doing a communications consultant or something like that, like that's not something I am opposed to. I actually think that would be pretty good for us, but I do want to try and see how the OANC websites turn out before we like fully go. And I know you were just saying that as an example, um, before we hire a website consultant. I tried I think rather successfully to pitch ANC3C as a candidate for one of the first 8 um, website licenses that OANC is going to roll out. We have a pretty active website. I feel like we would kind of know what is working and what is not. So I feel like we would be good to give feedback for everybody else, but we should know hopefully at our next meeting if we don't spend 20 minutes talking about the bylaws. Janelle, and then Gawain, did you have your hand raised too?
No.
Bob's hand is up. Just one thought on the line item 1, you might relabel it as professional services then rather than personnel if you decide to have
We
that.
can't read, these are the line items that OANC gave us.
Well, I mean, I would think that then you have flexibility to decide whether an employee or a consultant, makes sense depending on, whether the description
Yeah.
matches all else. So, but I don't want to take Bob's time either.
Well, I just want to pull one more string on this thread is again, it's the technical assistance fund that's outside of each commission's individual budget that was stood up by council a few years ago that is supposed to be used for technical assistance. So sure, we can add to our budget, but we should first be using the funds from that technical assistance bucket. And they're supposed to have like an approved list of consultants for various things that are common among ANCs that like have hopefully some level of upskilling in like what technical assistance they've been like put on the list to provide, right? So I think, yes, I agree, like, we could use help in certain things and we don't want an employee, but I think also we should always first go to that bucket of money and that source of vetted, whatever that means, uh, vendors. That's all I have to say on that for now.
Bob.
Thank you. I guess my question is, what'd you say the total budget is right now? Or not budget, but like cash on hand, it's like 130,000.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like there's no way in hell that you're gonna be able to spend that down at the rate at which you guys are, you know, contemplating spending things on. So I guess my question would be like, I'm thinking about like sort of permanent investments for the neighborhoods. Street furniture, for example. Woodley Park hasn't done a real, streetscape upgrade like Cleveland Park has. Main Street has just got a grant that's, commissioning customized benches from a UDC art student. But they only had money to do like three of them. And so, is it would that fall under grants or direct purchases? But like stuff like street furniture, where it's benches and planters and things that are better than whatever we get from like off the shelf DDOT for these streetscape improvements that like put sort of a permanent imprint on the neighborhood, the corridor, or whatever. Are those things you can spend money on?
I can
Go ahead.
so there's a challenge with putting for the ANC to pay for things that get permanently placed in the public realm.
Hmm.
It's the ANC can't operate and maintain them be like as the ANC.
Hmm.
So there has to be an MOU, a memorandum of understanding between whatever organization or entity is going to operate and maintain the thing that we either pay for with a grant or a direct expense that needs to be stapled to that thing that we bought. Uh,
Mhm.
and other agencies have gone through this. I'm forgetting if OAG ruled on it or where, but
So you're
I
saying there's a process.
there's a process. But like for example, the example that you bring up in Woodley Park, like where there's no current Main Street organization,
Mhm.
like we can't do it until that
I mean,
organ.
there's gonna be, right? Someone's applying for, I mean,
Hopefully.
But that's
yeah.
what we went through with Cassandra and Cleveland Park Main Street was like, and they didn't even ask us for money for that. If they would have, we but she did need to get a MOU with DDOT to put street furniture, those benches, and who was going to be responsible for cleaning them. Because DDOT, if it gets graffiti on it, DPW is not going to go out there and clear the graffiti,
Mhm.
right?
But they will for the ones they install.
They will for the ones they install, correct?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
So
like
that's
what
the
could be a
dilemma.
permanent investment that will take that 130 down to a level that like you have a budget like you're doing now. Like not in your wildest dreams you're gonna be able to spend that money at the rate at which you guys have been spending money. I don't know. That was just a thought. I didn't know where that goes in the budget, but
1000% agree. And I think a, a bit of the strategy is probably partnering with more established organizations within the neighborhood to get those MOUs like for things of the typology that you're suggesting.
It's like if we wanted to partner with WPCA to put a bench, is that something we could do?
Yeah, I think so.
they'd have to commit to maintaining it, right? Someone,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
They'd have to commit to maintaining a quorum, but
Well,
you
that's
didn't hear
different.
me say that.
But like they have like they have tax ID now, like they're fully established nonprofit organizations where the ANC's a, it's complicated, right? But there's a there. And there's definitely, I don't want to say that there's guidance on it, but there's memorandums on it.
So
There a max? I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, I like that Barb's thinking about it, and the problem, the bigger problem we've had is people making propositions, giving us ideas. I think generally, we don't really want to do stuff ourselves. We want to support other people, groups or whatever doing stuff. So we want other groups to like come to us and say, we want to do this thing, we want to buy this thing, and then we can do it. So that's sort of the thing. And we just haven't had that many proposals really. And probably we haven't done a good job of like saying, come to us with proposals, but I think that's what we should be doing in the next year. And um, and talking to all the different sort of nonprofits or organizations, the main streets, but also the villages. And but the thing I think would be cool is if we could do more stuff with the schools. And I don't know exactly how to structure it, but I would love to like have like a competition or displays or things we could do with the schools in our neighborhood uh, that encourage civic engagement and stuff like that. So I'd love to do something in that vein, although I haven't had anything like I don't have a specific idea.
I feel like Erin Palmer had some pretty cool ideas or competitions or things coming out of her ANC for a time, so we can always lift and shift from there. But I love that idea so much. I think there's a there that would really probably warm a lot of people's hearts in this time. um and yeah, and if it results in like a creatively designed bench somewhere, like let's do that.
Um, is there a limit on how much money you could give in a grant as long as it's not covering the entire project? What's the limit? 5?
We have set a limit in our bylaws, I believe, but
Oh,
we are not exact. I feel like there's language in there that gives us like wiggle room to exceed it if we decide we want to. I feel like
okay.
it's $3,000 or $5,000 per grant.
Well, we've definitely given $5,000 grants, so but I'm not aware of a limit. I think a rule of thumb, and when people ask me, I usually say it's $5,000 or less. But I'm not aware of a limit, although maybe ONC has one. I haven't, Janelle, you have to point
I've
me to
always
something.
told people that it can't cover the entirety or majority of the project.
Right.
That's the law from OANC, but I thought there was something in our 3C rules about it, but maybe I took it out when we reconstituted our grant guidelines. It is really possible I took it out.
But like maybe even doing outreach with the community organizations and just being like, hey, we have a grants program. If you have an idea.
Okay, so just in terms of the way forward from here, I've only shared this so far with this group. I think the next step is to take in any comments, like if you want to make any here, and give it to the rest of the commissioners for comments and suggestions. And then I think the plan, tell me if you want to suggest something else, is to discuss it on Monday at the ANC meeting,
Yeah.
take in any feedback from anybody at that point, and then finalize it in the October meeting. Does that sound right?
Can we finalize it in October? This is in October
Yeah.
FY 26.
We have to present it in the next meeting, and
meeting.
then you have to vote on it in the following meeting.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's following exactly what you said. It's like present, and then we're good to go in October for a vote.
Works for me.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, I can
this-
send.
Sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, this was super. I found this to be very helpful.
All right. Well, I can send you Gawain the 2 comments I had about palm cards is I think what Bob called them, and then something else that escapes me right now.
The OANC,
Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Hybrid meeting kit. And then I will probably not see some of you in the Residential Historic Preservation Review Board meeting. I might. We'll see if I'm still awake. But thank you all for coming, and we will see you soon.
Yeah.
And thank you, Commissioner Kripke.
Which
Yeah.
is also. So.
Thank you.